In the seemingly peaceful city of Milwaukee lurked a nightmare that would horrify the entire nation. A gay serial killer quietly murdered 17 young men, kept their skulls as trophies, and even consumed parts of their hearts and flesh. This wasn't just another murder case, it was the chilling story of Jeffrey Dahmer, the Milwaukee Cannibal, whose name remains one of the darkest stains in American crime history. Born in 1960 in Wisconsin, Jeffrey Dahmer grew up in what appeared to be an ordinary family. But behind closed doors was a home filled with turmoil. His parents fought constantly. His mother battled depression while his father was consumed by work, leaving young Dahmer starved for genuine care and affection. From an early age, Dahmer displayed disturbing tendencies. Hugh was fascinated with dissecting animal carcasses, collecting bones and organs to study them. As a teenager, Dahmer turned to alcohol and became increasingly isolated, with no close friends. Psychologists believe that loneliness and emotional neglect from his family planted the seeds of twisted desires and a need for absolute control. Signs of severe psychological disturbance. He fantasized about dominating others and turning them into living dolls to fulfill his dark urges. In 1978, at just 18 years old, Dahmer committed his first murder, beginning a horrific killing spree. His first victim, Stephen Hicks, was lured to Dahmer's home for drinks, where Dahmer bludgeoned him with a dumbbell and strangled him to death. He then dismembered the body, crushed the bones, and scattered the remains in the woods, feeling not remorse, but a sense of release. Though he escaped punishment, Dahmer's life spiraled. He moved frequently, even living with his grandmother for a time. Yet the urge to kill never subsided. Dahmer would lure gay men home, drug them, strangle them, and dismember their bodies, often photographing them, keeping skulls, and even cooking parts of their flesh. He conducted gruesome experiments, drilling holes into victims' skulls and injecting chemicals into their brains in a failed attempt to create mindless zombies. On multiple occasions, police narrowly missed catching him, most notoriously at night, when officers returned a 14-year-old boy to Dahmer's apartment, where he was murdered shortly after. By the late 1980s, Dahmer had moved into apartment 213 at the Oxford Apartments, turning it into a personal slaughterhouse. He hunted victims in bars and gay clubs, lured them home for photos, and killed them. Inside the apartment, he preserved skulls as keepsakes and stored organs and flesh in his refrigerator. Neighbors complained about the stench, but Dahmer explained it away as spoiled meat or dead pets. The apartment became a chamber of horrors, as storage for human remains, chilling photographs, and the tools of For over a decade, Dahmer's killing spree went unchecked, finally ending when one victim managed to escape and lead police back to the apartment, exposing the true face of the Milwaukee Cannibal. Between 1978 and 1991, Dahmer murdered 17 men, most of them young, gay, and from Black or Asian communities. Early on, the killings were sporadic, but after moving into apartment 2, Dahmer became increasingly reckless, murdering victims just weeks apart. The known victims include Stephen Hicks, Stephen Twomey, James Dockstader, Richard Guerrero, Anthony Sears, Eddie Smith, Ricky Beeks, Ernest Miller, David Thomas, Curtis Straughter, Errol Lindsay, Tony Hughes, Connor Axe, Matt Turner, Jeremiah Weinberger, Oliver Lacey, and Joseph Brick. Each murder left behind horrifying traces: dismembered bodies, skulls kept as grim trophies, and organs preserved or even cooked. Dahmer admitted that he didn't kill solely to satisfy his urgency, also feared abandonment. He kept body parts of his victims so they would never leave him. Many missing person reports were filed, yet police failed to identify the culprit. In May 1991, 14-year-old Connor Axe phone managed to escape Dahmer's apartment, but police dismissed it as a dispute between two adults, allowing Dahmer to continue killing. The victim count kept rising until Dahmer was finally caught. Each death was documented through photographs, and ashes were kept as twisted trophies. This was more than a string of murders. It was an unprecedented escalation of depravity in U.S. criminal history. On July 22, 1991, after over a decade of terror and 17 gruesome murders, Jeffrey Dahmer's reign of horror came to an end. The man who escaped that day was Tracy Edwards, a 32-year-old who narrowly survived. Dahmer had lured Edwards to his apartment with an offer of money in exchange for photos. Upon arrival, Edwards immediately sensed something was wrong: the foul stench, strange stains, and disturbing tools scattered around. Dahmer handcuffed Edwards and prepared to kill him like the others. Thinking fast, Edwards pretended to cooperate while waiting for an opportunity to escape. After a struggle, he broke free and alerted police. When Milwaukee officers arrived at apartment 200, they had no idea they were about to uncover one of the most horrifying crime scenes in U.S. history. The stench of death hit them immediately. Inside, they found photographs of dismembered bodies, neatly arranged skulls, and saws used for cutting flesh. In the refrigerator and freezer, they discovered severed heads, hearts, livers, and other preserved human remains. One officer described the scene as so horrific it was hard to believe it was real. Dahmer's apartment resembled a macabre laboratory where he had attempted to turn people into zombies. Surrounded by undeniable evidence of cannibalism, Dahmer was arrested on the spot without resistance. During interrogation, He calmly confessed to every crime, describing in detail how he murdered and disposed of each victim. Even the most seasoned investigators were shaken by his chilling testimony. News of the arrest spread rapidly, shocking the world. Residents of Milwaukee were stunned to learn that their seemingly quiet neighbor was in fact the infamous cannibalistic killer. The investigation revealed that without Tracy Edwards' escape, Dahmer could have continued murdering undetected. Public outrage grew, particularly over the police's earlier missed opportunities to stop him. Following his arrest, Dahmer faced an avalanche of charges: 17 counts of murder, mutilation, sexual assault, and cannibalism. His trial began in January 1992, drawing nationwide and international attention. Thousands lined up outside the courthouse to witness the Milwaukee monster brought to justice. From the start, Dahmer confessed openly to his crimes, describing each killing, the dismemberment process, and even acts of cannibalism. The defense argued Dahmer suffered from severe mental illness and delusions, seeking to spare him from the death penalty. Prosecutors countered with overwhelming evidence showing Dahmer fully understood his actions. He meticulously planned his crimes, concealed evidence, and avoided capture for years, proof he was legally sane. Throughout the trial, victims' families wept as they heard graphic details of how their loved ones were murdered. Some erupted in anger inside the courtroom. Their pain highlighted the monstrous cruelty of Dahmer's actions. On February 15, 1992, the jury convicted Jeffrey Dahmer of 15 counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to 15 consecutive life terms totaling 957 years, ensuring he would never walk free. A year later, he received an additional life sentence for an earlier murder in Ohio, bringing the total to 16 life terms. In his final statement to the court, Dahmer spoke in an eerily calm tone. "I know what I did was unforgivable. I don't seek mercy. I only hope God can forgive me." The verdict closed one of the most chilling trials in U.S. history, but the nightmare of Dahmer's crimes remained etched in millions of minds. After sentencing, Dahmer was transferred to Columbia Correctional Institution in Wisconsin. In prison, he claimed remorse, read the Bible, and requested baptism. But no amount of repentance could erase his blood-soaked past or the terror he left behind. On November 28, 1994, just over 2 years into his sentence, Dahmer was bludgeoned to death by fellow inmate Christopher Scarver while working in a prison detail. His death ended the life of one of America's most notorious and feared serial killers. Apartment 230 in the site of his horrific crimes was demolished, as Milwaukee residents sought to erase the physical reminder of the nightmare and heal their community. Yet, the haunting memory of Dahmer persists across generations. The story of Jeffrey Dahmer stands as a chilling warning of the darkness that can lurk beneath seemingly ordinary lives. It also raises serious questions about societal and law enforcement failures to protect vulnerable communities, when chances to capture Dahmer were repeatedly missed. To this day, the case remains one of America's most disturbing criminal sagas, inspiring films, documentaries, and extensive analysis by criminal scientists. And if there's one lasting lesson from this story, it's this: evil doesn't always wear a frightening face. Sometimes it hides behind the smile of a seemingly kind neighbor.